Once upon a time in a dark and scary forest lived a big, fluffy bear named Benny. Benny was a friendly bear who loved to bake sweet treats for all of his animal friends, but they didn't always appreciate his baking. You see, Benny wasn't very good at baking. In fact, his baked goods were so bad that every time he made something, it either burned or exploded or tasted like dirt. But Benny didn't mind because he loved to bake. He just kept on trying new recipes and perfecting his craft. One day, Benny decided to make cookies for his friend Finley the fox. Finley was a grumpy old fox who lived at the edge of the forest. He mixed flour and sugar and butter until the dough was nice and smooth. He wanted to help his friend, but all he got for his trouble was a harsh word and a closed door. He opened the door to see Finley standing there with a sheepish grin. Hey, Benny, Finley said. Can I come in? Benny stepped aside to let him in. What do you want? He asked. I may be a grumpy old fox, but I'm not a meanie. And besides, I owe you for those delicious cookies. Now, tell me everything you need to start your bakery and I'll get right to work. Feeling dejected, Benny turned around and went home. At first, they were all a little skeptical, but after hearing about Finley's offer to help, they were sold. Together, the animals gathered all the supplies they needed and got to work building shelves and ovens and display cases. I couldn't help but sneak a peek inside my den while you were gone and, well, they smelled delicious. Benny and Finley stood outside the shop together as the other animals bustled about inside. She had been one of Benny's biggest critics in the past, always telling him that his baked goods weren't good enough. But now she stood in front of him with a smile on her face. He went over to the counter and picked up a bag of flour. Everyone, he said, his eyes shining with excitement, I want to teach you how to make my famous cookies. And with that, Benny the bear became the best baker in the forest. And all because he never gave up on his dream. So, Benny, she said, I hear you make the best cookies in the forest. I'll have some, please. You never know what you might be good at. Just like Benny, you might be surprised at what you can do. So next time you see something that you want to try, go for it. You never know. You might be the best at it. Benny beamed and got to work making her a fresh batch of his famous cookies. While the cookies were baking, Dory sat down at one of the tables and watched Benny work. You know, she said, I used to think you were a terrible baker, but I was wrong. These cookies are delicious. You really are a great baker, Benny. Well, here goes nothing, Benny said, taking a deep breath. I couldn't help myself. I just had to try one. All of his animal friends were there, enjoying his baked goods and smiling. He couldn't believe how far he had come. He used to be just a clumsy bear who made bad cookies. But now he was a successful baker with a shop of his own and a bunch of loyal customers. Ollie was known for being the wisest creature in the forest, but he was also known for being a bit of a snob. Freddie was a happy-go-lucky frog who always saw the good in people. He was the first customer to try Benny's cookies when he was still learning to bake, and he had always encouraged Benny to keep trying. Benny, my boy, he said, his eyes twinkling. These cookies are better than ever. You really are the best baker in the forest. He had a pointy beard that reached down to his chest, and he always wore a monocle. Well, this is quite a surprise, he said as he sipped his tea. Your baked goods are actually quite good, my dear Benny. I must say you've improved. Benny blushed. Thank you, Mr. Owl, he said. Benny's eyes widened. You did, he stammered. Finley used his knowledge of the forest to help Benny find the perfect spot for his bakery. They built a small, cozy shop made out of wood and stone and decorated it with cute little tables and chairs. Soon, it looked like a real bakery. He threw himself onto his bed and pulled the covers over his head. It's no use, he mumbled. I'll never be able to help my friend if I can't even make decent baked goods. They smelled delicious, and Benny couldn't wait to take them to Finley. He grabbed the plate and headed to the edge of the forest. Then he rolled out the dough and cut out little shapes using cookie cutters. You really are a great baker, Benny. Benny's face lit up with a big smile. Really? He asked. Oh, I want to be a baker, he said. I am going to open up my own bakery and everyone in the forest will come to me for their sweet treats. Finley chuckled. He couldn't believe that Finley, the grumpy old fox who didn't like anyone, wanted to help him. It made him feel so good inside. Oh, thank you, Finley, he said. You're a true friend. That sounds like a great plan, Benny, he said, and I'm gonna help you. You think so? Of course, Finley said. Those cookies were some of the best I've ever tasted. You really should be a baker, Benny. You have a real gift. Finally, he put the cookies in the oven and waited for them to bake. He liked to pretend that he didn't like anyone, but really he had a big heart. Benny had seen Finley sitting by his den one evening looking sad, and he wanted to cheer him up with some homemade cookies. Benny gathered all of the ingredients he needed and got to work. But I wanted to cheer you up, he said. I thought you might like some cookies. Finley shook his head. No, I don't want any of your stupid cookies, he said, and with that, he went back into his den. When the cookies were finally done, Benny carefully took them out of the oven and put them on a plate. When Finley saw Benny coming, he tried to hide, but Benny was too quick for him. Finley, Benny called out, I brought you something. Finley sighed and came out of his den. What do you want? He asked. Benny held out the plate of cookies. I made these for you, he said. They're, a little different, but I hope you like them. Finley looked at the cookies and then at Benny. Why would I eat something you made? He snapped. Benny's ears drooped. Benny stood there for a moment, his paws clenched into fists. Just then, Benny heard a knock on his door. Well, Finley said, you made those cookies earlier, right? Yeah, Finley said, and they were amazing. Benny beamed from ear to ear. You will? Benny asked, his eyes wide with surprise. Of course, Finley said. Benny was overjoyed. Together, Benny and Finley set out to make Benny's dream a reality. Next, Benny and Finley went to see Benny's other animal friends and told them about the bakery. Finally, it was time to open the bakery. The first customer was a deer named Dory. Next in line was Ollie the owl. Last but not least was Freddie the frog. As the sun began to set, Benny looked around the shop. Suddenly, an idea popped into Benny's head. The moral of the story is that it's important to try new things.